the answer to all coils, the mother of all coils.
All right, so, well, I tell you what, before we talk about that and what the implications of it are, I want to ask you a question, though, about, let's see, where was it? Well, the torus, first of all, you mentioned that it is the same as, or represented in the word torso. We mentioned that in the previous program, actually, too.
Torso, which means human body.
I had a question about the astronomical sign, the bull, Taurus. Is that tied into this whole thing? It has
I don't
to
know. I've never given it enough pondering. It's a question I've asked too. So we're both on the same speed.
Right. I mean, it's probably not important, but anyway, it just seemed to be one that came to mind. So.
Yeah.
All right. So one other thing before, as we've talked about the digital roots and discrete numbers 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1, and this repeating pattern. What about the 3, 6, 9 relationship? I think we need to talk about that before we get to the top of the hour here.
Yeah.
If you think that it's a time to bring that in, is it?
Well, I bet your audience is thinking how you have such a confusing or complicated guest. But I'm going to tell your audience that their host is definitely going to put them on the rack by asking the hardest question, which is. So in tightening the rack on your audience, the numbers 3, 9, and 6, to make a long story short, I discovered, it sounds so inane, but the numbers 3 and 6 never touch.
And again,
they just can't touch, period.
Right. And but again,
it's like a bar, 2 poles on a magnet. Can you touch them together? No, they repel.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say that for the people that are on the web, the image that we're talking about here, this circle with the numbers inscribed on the outside of it, and the pattern drawn between the numbers will make it more clear what you're talking about. In other words, the position of the 3, the 6, and the 9.
A lot of people won't have the luxury of going online.
Yeah, unfortunately not. So
do you have it on your website too?
Yeah, I got it on my website too. So.
Where is it, on the front, or do you link to it?
No, it's right on the front page. I mean.
Oh, that's right. It was floating on that sphere.
Yeah, we got it right on that front page.
With the magic hand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Showing you the pathway that everything follows.
Yep. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5.
Science is called the longest mean free pathway of least resistance.
Okay, so the point is, though, we've.
Oh wait, I'm going to interrupt you. Can I?
Yes, please. Yeah.
I want to fulfill your request, which is I want to stay on the first challenge to me, which is to explain 3, 9, and 6.
Right, because in this pattern 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1, we never touch 3, 6, or 9.
That's right. I perfected the secret of artificial intelligence because the binary code, which is doubling 1, 2, 4, I discovered, is triangulated. Secret of artificial intelligence is they always were looking for a third element, Y, maybe, or at least a third element to give it dimension instead of a 2D plane, which is how all computers today are archaic. They're dinosaurs.
And this is the idea of giving the binary code
we call it a binary triplet.
Yeah, because you give it polarity, right?
We give it polarity.
Jesus.
Absolutely right. I'm not going to jump on that. I'm going to stick on the 3, 9, 6. Because you're even going to make my understand. You're going to push my throttle to the max. So staying on 3, 9, and 6. 3 and 6, simply put, are the yin and yang. Okay, everybody understands that the yin and yang is something that you revere, that it's sacred, comes out of religion. It's exemplified by physical discipline, martial arts. It represents the sacred, sanctified, holy duality of the universe.
And balance.
Balance, exactly. Opposals, equilibrium, motion of balance and equilibrium. Okay? What I discovered is that it's not a duality, the yin and yang. It's a trinary. Because the third invisible part, first I won't even go there. I'll explain the 3 and 6. The 3 doubled is 6. The 6 doubled equals 12, which 1 plus 2 is 3. 12 doubled is 24 equals 6. 24 doubled is 48 equals 12 equals 3. 48 doubled is 96 equals 15 is 6. Anytime you double or half a 3 or 6, they always will make the other number 3 or 6.
Right.
No other number. That's called a fundamental property characteristic of a number. Every number has one. What's the quality for 0? There is none. It's not a number. It's an absence. 0 times anything is always nothing. That's why the base 10 system is modular 9. It's 1 through 10. It's 0 through 9, and 9 is the zenith. It's the highest. And 9 is the opposite of 0, because 0 is nothing, 9 is everything. And 9, what's the quality of 9? 9 multiplied will always equal itself. The never-changing number 9, because it's the axis, which is always vertical, always straight, always returns to center, always comes back to center. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, 90, any multiple of 9, or divided by 9 for that matter, will always equal 9.
Always reduces back down to 9.
There's not another number that does that.
Right.
Okay, 3 and 6 are the only oscillating yin-yang numbers. 9 is the number that is always in between 3 and 6, because they never touch.
All right, so back to the yin and the yang, we have the white side, we have the black side, but it's not just the two, it's the in-between, the border between the two as well. That's called
the boundary. It's the S-curve. So the third part of the yin and yang is the S-curve in the center.
The boundary.
It's also referred to as the circle itself, as it's called the world boundary condition.
Right.
And that's a proper term of physics and science that comes out of academia.
Repeat that again, the world boundary condition?
Oh, the boundary condition, properly referred to as the world boundary condition, and and it has to do with the nature of sunspots, or what are called underpinning nested vortices, which affect how everything works.
Well, it's really interesting, Marko, because I do a segment on the program during the first hour every week that's called Space Weather, and I'm very interested in watching what happens on the sun, and I'm, visually familiar with the magnetic fields that occur on the surface and the way they twist. And the way flares emanate from them. And it's really interesting that you bring it up, because you definitely see these, what they call it a sigmoid shape. And when you see that, when the magnetic field gets twisted like that, it's a high potential for big flares and things like that.
So if my work ever survives, it's the only accurate mathematical depiction of how these, what I call underpinning nested vortices, how everything is created, how it sustains itself, how it survives, how it releases heat, how it maintains itself, how it, using these underpinning nested vortices, life, different energy forms, that's how they sustain, that's how they endure themselves, that's how they, through energy transformation. Without these underpinning nested vortices, nothing would work. They've been ignored, and sooner or later, everybody has to be confronted with them and apply it. The best example was the golf ball. It used to be solid and hard as a rock on the outside. Then they learned that if you change the dimple pattern over the tops of it, those are called underpinning nested vortices.
Right.
It would control the lift and flight properties.
Right.
In DNA, using this math, I see the underpinning nested vortices along the major groove inside it. Biology uses it to do everything. It's the secret of cellular communication. It's the secret of DNA mitosis, information encryption and duplication, for sister strand DNA unraveling. It's deep inside DNA in the major groove is this big space called, if you go to Google and just type in major groove DNA, you'll see it. And in that space is this higher dimensional flux field, and it's all controlled by these underpinning nested vortices, and it controls all life processes. I could end all diseases. I could produce unlimited food. I sound like a madman. I'll never do it, I don't believe. I'll never have the resources to put together a facility of scientists to apply my work. But that always had been my dream. But anyway...
well, I'll tell you what, Marko, as I said earlier...
don't let me act... No. You got to humor me. I have a right to feel that it's out of range. It really is.
Yes, but it might not be. And certainly sharing it and sharing the information like you're doing gives others the opportunity to continue the work. And I mean, you're doing your best with what you've got, but certainly there are others that are going to grab onto this stuff and